30th March 2019. I'm drenched in sweat. In the morning, the truck came and we packed our stuff. I mean, everything. Today is my last day in Pune. It has been 3 years. Time flies away a lot faster than we perceive. I remember the first time I came to Pune, crying and sobbing, not wanting to leave Delhi. One thing I hate about Pune are the insects, especially in my house. Even if we clean the room daily, the following day we see them again. Outside, the trees are dancing to the tunes of the breeze. People are chattering loudly, but then also it seems peaceful. But how mysterious our world is, how precious our lives are. Not just us, humans, but others as well. Somehow humans have failed to realize how we are not the center of this planet and that everyone plays a part well defined. But humans, for some reasons, are considered distinct and are the only species having the ability of remolding nature to a certain degree, which other organisms aren't. Is it purely intellectual or influenced by how our community has the power of defining and redefining other aspects of nature to our benefit? But what even can be considered a benefit when we all are suffering? More people are dying with nature ferociously taking back control. Who even has the authority amongst us to control the planet is what I ask myself daily. Or do we even have one? Well, it seems to me that no one has, not even us. And as William Shakespeare perfectly assesses, that all men and women are merely players. And if I may add, while apologizing for such blasphemous addition, that even nature is a player like us, part of a bigger venture unraveled unsuccessfully by any mortal. But what makes us humans distinct? 4th April 2019. I am sorry. You would be guessing why. Because I'm not regular in writing diaries or any piece of writing for that matter. I strongly believe that everything has a time, and I can't force myself to write something. However, I also don't want to put forward any excuse, but rather a reminder that things have been busy lately. I am in Rajouri right now, to be more precise, in Behrot village, where kitchen is rather the place where everyone sleeps. The idea of a separate guest room is only for the ones who have money in their pockets. The others are rather stuffed into the kitchen itself, clasping into one another, fighting for blankets and kangdi. Today, I sat down with my Abbajan, my grandfather, and talked with him. Lately, he has been forgetting things. He doesn't even remember our name, and we all understand that. We are never irritated by it because I personally believe that it is necessary for us to look after others, especially the ones who have ordained you with knowledge, love, and wisdom. So, in order to preserve it, I recorded some of our conversations and I hope to someday pen it down. It really frustrates him as a poet, author, and a shire that he is not able to read and write properly. He stammers and stammers, yet still goes on. Not being able to read the Quran is something which further demotivates him. I told him that God understands it. It's a way of life. What is necessary is that he is trying, and he tried till his last breath. He wishes to stay in Behrut and has an aversion towards hospitals. However, he frequently wishes to visit Punch, his ancestral place as well. The best part which I wish to carry from our conversation is that he is open about his ideas, wishes, anxieties, and desires. 10th April 2019. I hate oversimplifications. There was a time when we were innocent and thus remained peaceful. However, it seems to me that the only thing we have been doing is fighting. Fighting over a cause whose authority we don't individually possess. Fighting over a cause while perishing in means less describable through words and more defined by the constant dilemmas that we are put under every day. Rajouri Punch today isn't inflicted in means which is visible in Kashmir, though it has its own history of violence and separation. My grandparents and parents went through the violent stages, and it is us, while living most of our lives outside Jammu and Kashmir, who are enduring it in a passive aggressive fashion, playing psychological games while simultaneously dealing with where our identities lie and also our notions of home. However, what is necessary for me to emphasize is the fact that people of Jammu and Kashmir are suffering in their own means. Moreover, the situation of Muslims in Jammu and Kashmir does have an effect on the Indian Muslims, being described as a danger, cause of disharmony, corruption, and the historically persisted villains to Indian tradition. By the way, today the 2019 general election starts. People are excited and enthused, yet there is a wave of concern amongst many, within us as well, as we constantly scrutinize the media outlets, newspapers, channels, and on our phones, not wanting certain results to manifest. Analysts have shown a surge in approximate seats for NDA. If this manifests, Narendra Modi shall be declared as the Prime Minister. It is against this that India is also seeing a surge in communal disharmony, abuses, and polarization in every possible shape and form, against rising employment and fear. Lynching is the word which I recently came across, only to memorize it by heart. 23rd May 2019. Election results are out and Narendra Modi has been declared the Prime Minister, winning with more seats than 2014 general elections. His past tenure saw an increased number of farmers suicide, unemployment, and chauvinism. My father came back and said that it was going to be difficult for us. The only thing that can save us is to go towards truthfulness, righteousness, and excellence. He argued that India is changing, the society is radicalizing, and we have no choice but to work hard to stand out. Fear crept into my body. As a girl who had started wearing a hijab, it seems to me an added burden of always being at guard when going outside. There has been an increase in the cases of cow vigilantism, and the government has been banning a lot of things, and I believe would ban celebrations, movies, whatever things they feel go against Indian traditions. There is no doubt that extremism would increase from both sides, while the commoners would get crushed into this warfare. 25th June 2019. Recently, my stay in Behrod during my cousin's wedding was all about criticism. My identity was being questioned by everyone, every relative from every corner of Jammu and Kashmir. Even my Abbajan continuously inquired if I had learnt any Kashmiri. This is not the first time, nor will it be the last time that my people question my authenticity, or for that matter, my existence as a Kashmiri. Language is important and a poignant means of contributing to the already dying culture. But it's not something which is learnt in a day or so. If learnt, it takes time and good sources. And while I have tried with downloading whatever I could, it wasn't of much use, and neither I could invest much time into these. Many don't realize that they don't end up learning the language, but rather pick it up from their families. Nevertheless, I feel a sense of regret and also embarrassment whenever I talk about this. I have always been seen as a person living outside Behrod, as a foreigner to this village. We get preferential treatment in our homes, even though how much we refute it. Part of the reason, based on my assessment, comes from a very good place of us coming only for a few days. However, One doesn't want to be considered and treated like a guest, a person who stays for some time, but rather as a reciter amongst the mountains and the valleys around whom I have grown and risen to conscious. I am devoid of the features that one sees amongst Kashmiris, which even Kashmiris accept as theirs. The only thing left with me are these books, which I would add onto our family library to demonstrate my willingness to re establish the relation with my homeland, from which I had long budged away from, though my identity and experiences never refused to cease around me. 6th August 2019. Article 370 was the only identity I had, the only narrative to reiterate my views to everyone with whom I have had discussions. While I had anticipated this, I couldn't fathom with the speed it manifested into. Within 24 hours, the whole demography was changed, with Jammu and Kashmir being reduced to a union territory, and Ladakh as well. While some defined it as a historical day, nobody gave a thought regarding the continuing AFSPA, human rights violation, communal violence, economic crisis, and rising unemployment, and the near absence of schools in the valley. How could the localites say when the internet ceases to exist? Presence of soldiers increases, making travel to a nearby shop a hurdle of constant supervision and investigation. Children aren't able to go to school for the past 6 months. Tourists were instructed to leave Jammu and Kashmir while the localites perished among the valleys and borders. Public gatherings of any kind were prohibited, and house arrests and jail became a prominent means of restricting the local politicians and prominent personalities from taking charge. While I haven't been able to contact my relatives, many in and around the valley are still at a lookout for graves of their dear ones, if it exists. The uncertainty regarding Jammu and Kashmir's future worries me. Strict decision doesn't always bring positive results. Indian government destroyed the lingering trust the people of Jammu Kashmir had. Neither the people in the Indian mainland are aware of the ground developments in Jammu and Kashmir, nor the localites of Jammu and Kashmir are aware of what is happening in India, or for that matter, within their neighbors as well. However, the only thing that remains persistent are the questions asking me for my perspective while simultaneously showcasing discomfort. What is it now? Is what many ask. Firstly, grateful for everyone who tuned in to see our showcase. Now, talking about the video, this was one of my first projects in terms of directing, editing, and also showcasing it publicly. So, kindly ignore the imperfections and small disturbances the video has. With regards to the video, if you could understand anything, I'm personally very, very grateful. If you couldn't understand anything, then also I'm grateful of the fact that you watched the video till the end. The question now really arises is the fact that does the video really end without any assessment of recent developments, or what happened to the entries of 2020 to 2022? Well, they do exist and are very much quite extensive in their details about a women still juggling with her Kashmiri and Muslim identity, which while for many it may seem as being independent of one another, but it is clearly not. And how things, while looking peaceful, are surely aren't. The narrated entries goes back to early 2019 as the subcontinent underwent charged politics during and post the 2019 general elections. A glimpse, if I have to describe it, of a much complex and contradictory life. Well, what was the purpose, you may ask? The purpose was just like as I mentioned, defining what makes human distinct. It's these stories, anecdotes, transferred, shared and imparted through oration, written, and through skills. Stories and anecdotes of failure, of victory, of struggle, of oppression, and also of the oppressed should and would persist, even if someone tries to burn them, remove them, or erase them. During this whole process of rereading and introspecting the diary entries, I not only observed my anecdotes, but the way I wrote, spoke, and what I wrote and spoke as well. And by the end of this process, I realized the humanness it imbibes, which is very much necessary for us to carry forth, irrespective of our political ideologies and belief system. Behavior, this humanness, is defined by our social behavior, which is only possible when we open ourselves to other human experiences and understanding. While, like love, loathing is very much a human characteristic. However, it destroys you from within and not the person you really despise. I know it doesn't provide you with anything substantive or academic in nature, but that is what is necessary out of us to develop our social behavior through human experiences rather than being purely theoretical. Because while it seems quite safe and is very much restricted to the intellects, human experiences add something which theory doesn't largely focuses on. Humans and their stories through which they reclaim and remold their identity.